Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com. Industrial workbenches with integrated tool storage. And brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. Next Gen, the most powerful detailing products ever made. And by Custom Auto Sound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radios since 1977.
Well, Motorheads, you're looking at a radiator there. That one's from a Honda, and here's a cross section of one here. These are the tubes, and of course we know that fluids pass into the radiator, into the cooler, and it gets the cool air off of there, keeps all those fluids cool, keeps your engine running well at the optimal temperature. And you guys at FVP here, Cam, you guys do an amazing job constructing the coolers on the side of the radiators. Show me how they're built with FVP.
Absolutely. So we always try and put at least the same, if not more, amount of cooling into every radiator that we produce. That way it meets the OE capacity for cooling. And unfortunately, not all of our competitors feel the same.
Unfortunately for you guys.
Right. It makes it nice for us.
Yeah, unfortunate for the folks out there that might buy one of these. So how are they skimping on stuff out there?
So the biggest thing is we'll have guys where they cut down by 60% how much cooling they're actually putting in there, to where you can noticeably see the difference in how much cooling capacity is in that core.
What are some other things FVP is doing to make sure you guys are even above the OEM standards in a lot of cases?
Another thing that we do is these stainless steel reinforcement strips on a lot of the truck applications or anything that's going to be seeing a heavy duty use. We clamp that onto the tank, and it actually boosts the clamping capacity by about 40% or so.
Oh, very
so
cool.
You really get a good seal.
That's great. And you guys also go a long way at FVP to make sure that I've got everything I need to install this when it's coming to my door.
Absolutely. So we always include new hardware, that way you don't have to reuse the original stuff, anything that could be worn down, that could even be leaking. So we always try and put new parts in there. We'll even include some of the tools that are necessary if it's a common use item, like on these quick disconnect fittings. We'll include the slip clamp that releases the line out of it.
Well, heat is the enemy and FVP is the solution. You can find their products at rockauto.com, along with all the parts your car will ever need.
Way of life, power and dreams, and let the good times roll. Welcome to this AMSOIL Tech Tip. Now, those are all slogans when it comes to metric bikes. What is a metric bike? Well, we're talking about Yamaha, Suzuki, Honda, and of course Kawasaki. And those bikes, well, they need service too. You can see it right here. Performance, the checklist, the oil filter, everything needs to be done. But what you notice here, there's just oil and replace the oil. There's no primary, there's no secondary, there's no gearbox. Everything's done in one unit. Now, what's the difference between the two? Here's an actual American-made bike here. You can see like a Harley, it's actually air-cooled versus the liquid-cooled. So you got liquid-cooled, it's not gonna run as hot. But really neat, if you look at the exploded view of the motor there, well, you got the crankcase, you got the wet clutches, you got everything in there. The connecting rods all need to be lubricated, and Len, they need to be lubricated with one oil. That's a tough job to do. AMSOIL has us covered there as well.
Is our metric series motor oil. That's got a big job to do. We're talking about the transmission, we're talking about wet clutch, we have mechanical shear, we've got heat. It's got all of the bad things that you could do to an oil that we've designed that product to deal with. So again, high-end base oils, the proper additive package, it's wet clutch compatible, it's set to go.
Now that's got to be able to withstand all that stuff. We're talking about clutches as well. I know we did a dirt bike series way before, but clutch feel is going to be a factor when it comes to this oil.
It is. This is the would be the heaviest in the grip side of things, so it would be an MA2. So you get a real nice positive clutch feel with this particular product.
And I have gears as well, and I have a clutch. I have all kinds of things going on inside of there. So It's a pretty robust oil.
It has to be, and you get into the mechanical shear with the transmission where it's chopping up that oil and it tends to thin out. And we know that thin oil doesn't do a good job of protecting, so it has to maintain its viscosity.
Well, you guys got a ton of metric bikes out there, so go ahead to the AMSOIL website at amsoil.com. Check out all their cool products and the science behind it.
This Camaro RSSS belongs to our paintedautoparts.com Motorhead of the Week, Mike Heinen, over in the western part of Iowa. Now, Mike paid $500 for this car in 1980, and I'd say it's worth a little bit more than that now. And then there's this 55 Chevy. Mike found this one on eBay. Then after he bought it, he learned the history. This car was raced in the 60s and 70s by a guy named Ivan Hamblin and his family with dozens of engine combinations through the years. Now Mike has carried on that tradition. He's still racing that 55 Chevy at Ottawa Dragway. That's a great new dragway up in Iowa. Mike told me he was just 10 or 12 when he fell in love with his brother's 33 Ford Coupe, and later he turned that affinity for cars into a career as a body man, and all of this makes him a very deserving Motorhead of the Week. Now it's your turn. Tell us why you or someone you know should be Motorhead of the Week. Just go to motorheadgarage.tv. Tell us the story. Maybe you like cars, maybe you like boats or planes, something that goes fast, something that goes. Maybe you're just a fan of the show. You're well deserving of Motorhead of the Week. Hey, I tell you what, we're going to give you the rest of the week off, but of course we're going to return next week with another edition of Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com. We surely hope you join us then. In the meantime, if you have a product you want to see featured on the show, drop me a note, dave@motorheadgarage.tv. Until next time, from our entire crew here at Motorhead Garage, we'll see you next week. Oh yeah, drive safely.